Vlogtober with Unseen Strands, where I, your host Mo, am visually impaired, and at least for this month, I'm going to share with you things which I call my blind life, as October is Blindness Awareness Month. So today, to go in with introductions and things as the last couple days have been, I thought I'd go ahead and cover my crafting story. So a little bit of Mo from the past, I guess, to where I'm at today with my fiber arts crafting. So honestly, I have absolutely no idea when I started crocheting. I've been crocheting just about as long as I can remember, as I came from a family background of crocheting, and that was strictly crocheting and embroidery and that kind of thing. We really didn't do anything with knitting, anything beyond just the crochet. So my mom was a crocheter, my grandma was a crocheter. Apparently, at some point, even my grandpa crocheted. Not in my lifetime, but there was, I guess, rug yarn at my grandparents' house, and my family informed me that that was actually my grandpa's stuff and not from my grandma. So yeah, I came from a line of crocheting, so it was just kind of one of those expected things, I guess. And like I said, there was also some of that embroidery in there. I remember more of the embroidery from growing up, but that's probably because that was something that was extremely difficult for me. It was just the one that you do with the X's. You just stitch from one side of the X to the other. And being a visually impaired person and still at the point when I could see those X's, that's more of what I remember doing. But I think that's because crochet, of course, as it does for everyone, was not just an immediate start for me. So how I learned to crochet was my mom actually would start something and then I would continue onward, and then she would do my corners, which is hilarious because I'm the one who actually today has super straight corners and she is the one who has not mastered a corner. But when I was growing up, I was your typical little kid trying to crochet and way too tight. So I did not start with your chain. I don't ever remember like starting a chain. I know I had to at some point because I did a blanket when I was in 4th grade. That was all by myself. That was the first thing that I can remember finishing and so forth. I know that when I did that blanket, I don't remember doing the chain. So by that point, I was already starting to do it. But when I first started, I started with single crochets into something that my mom had already started, and they were the tightest single crochets. I think there was a yellow is what's coming to my mind blanket or something that I really tried, and we were always taught that you only crocheted in the back loop. That was the only loop, not the 3rd loop, but just the second of the 2 legs of the V's or whatever. So that's what I remember, and doing that so tight that I couldn't tell where it was and all that. Just to let you know that if you're starting, we all had to start somewhere, and I too was one of those super tight, and I have no idea what kept me on it because everything should have told me to stop and that I was no good at it. But I kept going, and eventually, the tension let up, and I am what I like to call an accomplished crocheter today. I have done many things. I've completed many blankets. I have done things from thread crochet to making a sweater, making, I guess, a couple sweaters now, doing crochet cables, and just all of those kind of things. And, it started when I was really little, and I was not the best crocheter then, but I did develop a lot, especially when I got into high school. I think when my cousins started having babies, that's when it really started to get my interest. And all of my mom's side of the family is the family that is stateside, so all my dad's side of the family isn't really stateside. So I grew up with my mom's side of the family at things, and so we are the youngest part of my mom's side of the family. So all my cousins were quite a bit older than me, so they started having kids when I was in high school, and so that's where I started making more things and kind of exploding in my knowledge of crochet because I got tired of only doing the couple crochet things that my mom knew how to do. Now she can do those things really, really well, but she only does a couple of things, and let's just face it, I can't just do one thing all the time and be happy. I have to keep changing it up and adding to my wealth of knowledge. So that went from crochet and me going, there's no way I'll ever learn to knit. There's absolutely no possible way that I'm going to figure this knitting thing out. And I did try in high school, I think towards the end of high school, and I tried again. I don't know if it was before Jeremy, but when Jeremy was probably pretty little, and I still just did not really get it. And then it was actually after I started here on YouTube, I got a message from one of our fellow blind YouTubers, and she said that she couldn't find a crochet group to go to because everyone knitted. I'm like, how can you be a blind knitter? I cannot figure it out. So I finally went, there is no way that there is tons and tons of blind knitters and I can't be one of them. So I finally sat down, got out the circulars, because that was the key. I tell you what, circular knitting needles were my friend because I was not good with the straight knitting needles. So that's how I figured out to knit, and that was only back in 2018. So I've only been a knitter now just about this time of the year, because it was in October of 2018 I became a knitter. So I have not been knitting all that long, and it was only 2017 that I started spinning. And that was that summer. I guess in another video I said that I started the YouTube and then learned to spin. I actually started spinning as I was prepping to start this channel. So a little misaligned in my information from earlier. And then I don't think there was anything new in the fiber arts that I added last year, quote unquote. But I did go from just knitting regular, worsted weight things to the sock knitting. So that kind of was my thing last year, was accomplishing that finer fingering weight and making what I call my knitting productive, because I am very much a practical crafter, and if I can make things for my family that they will use, I will try and do that. So that's kind of where the knitting came in. Was my husband's like, well, crochet socks are nice, but so yeah, I went to knitting just so I could basically knit him socks, and that is what I do. And I haven't knit him any since like April, so I'm probably getting in trouble now. So yeah, and I did at one point, I don't remember if that was before I started the channel or that next summer after I started the channel, but we found one of your basic learn to weave looms at Walmart on clearance. So I do have that, and I can do the tabby stitch or whatever, but I would like an actual loom at some point where I can do actual weavings that are a little more complex. And I did get to do that at one of the fiber shows that I have attended. So that was really fun and something I definitely want to do more of, but I just don't have the means to do it. And what else? Oh, and just as of like last month, I got involved with a group, and they had a loom knitting class, and I had a loom knit or a loom set that I had gotten at a garage sale. It actually even came with a carrying case and everything. It was like the whole big package that I had gotten for a couple bucks at a garage sale. And I'm like, I'm going to learn to loom knit. So indeed, I have learned to loom knit now. And so the one thing I probably still really am interested in learning is either tatting or felting, because I think it'd be really fun to make some like fiber beads with the needle felting. So that's kind of where I'm at today. I've let go of not being able to do embroidery anymore. I still kind of relate that to fiber arts because you're still using a string. I have had interest in the plastic canvas and that kind of thing, but I wasn't keen on not being able to cut stuff myself very well. And so I kind of let that go because I just have so many other things going on that I just, kind of don't have time to do it all. And as I said, I like the practical, and a lot of those things aren't as practical as some others, but yeah. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for today. As you can tell, I could probably go on for hours talking about fiber arts, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of my fiber journey so that you can see that, we all start somewhere, and as time goes on, if you really invest into it, you will progress. And if you need help in progressing, I definitely have some resources that I'll be sharing later on during the month. But anyways, guys, I need to wrap this up for today, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you tomorrow. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please hook the like button and subscribe. Talk to you later, guys.